Good afternoon, everybody. You're so well behaved. It's very quiet in here. I expected more talking. It's great to see all of you. Welcome to the Utah State Capitol. It is an honor to have you here with us today. We are so excited to be able to host our honorary designees today. We're proud of the work that you're doing to make our state a better place. Welcome to the Gold Room. This is a very special room where we have dignitaries from all over the world that come. Presidents of the United States have been here, ambassadors from every corner of the world, and only the most special people get a chance to be honored here, and you are those people. So thank you. We are grateful for your literal service to the people of the state of Utah. This is our second annual Governor Spirit of Service Awards, and it's something we look forward to every year as people get to nominate wonderful people. I will tell you that it's hard because there are so many great things happening in our state. Everywhere we turn, people are giving service and giving back. And the rewards that come from that, you all know. You didn't do this so you could win a governor's service award. You did it because it's the right thing to do, and that's what makes our state so special. We're very lucky to live in the state that leads the nation in service every year. And we know that hands-on service changes us as well as the people we're serving. Abby knows this, the First Lady who is here with us. It's why service is one of the four pillars of her initiative, of the First Lady's initiative. And it was interesting. We had, I've shared this a couple times, but we had a brain scientist from UCLA who was here. And she was here presenting with us. We were talking about some of the problems that we're seeing, especially with our youth when it comes to mental health. The significant increase that we are seeing in anxiety and depression and self-harm. And as we were having this discussion, she was talking about things that we could do to help our young people. And she was talking about therapy, which is important. She's talking about medication and how medication can help, especially when there's a severe case of mental illness. But then she said one of the most powerful ways to help people who are struggling with their mental health is through service and volunteerism. She said we've done the studies that we connect things to people's brains, and then we have them go and do good, and we have the computers attached that read the brain imaging. And there is a power that comes in that, a healing power, actually. She said it's as effective as most medications that we can give for improving mental health. And I had to ask the inevitable follow-up question. I said, well, what if it's compulsory service? What if we make our people, our young people, our kids, what if we make them do service projects? And she said, I'm glad you asked that question. Turns out it actually works. Compulsory service works because, and she said, we've all done this. There's a service project, something happening, and you're like, I don't want to go do that. I'd rather be golfing or watching TV or playing video games, whatever it is. But then you go and do it, and you feel better afterwards, right? So there's this brain stimulation. We are wired to help each other and to give back. And so I feel so lucky to be the governor of a state where we understand that, where we are willing to give back. Now, we have 4 individuals that we're going to be recognizing, and then 4 groups. And I know there were a couple that couldn't make it today, so I'll read more about them when they come. But here's how we would like to do this. So I will introduce the awardee. So I'll read the name, and then we will watch a short video telling more about that person or organization. And then I will invite you to come up and receive your reward, your award. The First Lady and I will come up together, and we'll take a picture in front of these flags. Is that right, Nick? Okay, Nick will take a picture there. And then after we're done, I'm going to invite all of the attendees to come up, and we'll take one together. So again, congratulations to all of our award winners, and most importantly, thank you for your commitment to serving each other. So our first individual is Jared Kwan, and we're going to go ahead and watch a video about Jared.
I'm Jared Kwan. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. I thought I would live there my whole life until I got married, and my wife was from Bountiful, Utah, and as it turns out, she didn't love the summers in Phoenix. So we moved to Utah, and that was 22 years ago. So I'm used to the climate now. Now, it was probably about a decade ago that I published a book, and I went to FanX, and I was trying to sell my book. And it didn't do so well, but all the questions I was getting from people were, how did you get published? How do I get to where you are? So I went home and talked with my wife, and I thought there's got to be a better way to help people find these resources. And that led me to the West Jordan Arts Council, which was really cool. And I was the second assistant to the literary chair. So the person who sat in the back of the room and kind of nodded their head and set up chairs for events. And then at the same time, I got selected to be the vice president of a local chapter of the League of Utah Writers. Once that happened, I found like there was a lot of joy in helping groups collaborate and put big things together, as well as help give back to the community, which was really neat. So once that happened and we had a lot of great success, that's when organizations started to ask if I could kind of help them a little bit more. And I got to lead the League of Utah Writers, which turns 88 this year. The thing that's driven me to volunteer and be more involved in the community is that I didn't have access to those resources. And when I've been able to help and participate and give people access to those resources, I've seen people be very successful. And there's like a certain amount of joy when they achieve something they didn't think they were going to be able to. I feel like there's an element of communications that's lost these days. What I love about mentoring young authors or young individuals to encourage them to develop their writing is that they get to express themselves in a much broader sense. They get to really write out their feelings. And it's not just a statement. It lets them really think through the full process. Any of those tools that they develop, regardless if they go into publishing, it's going to help them in their professional life. Nothing's cooler than when you see young individuals being able to construct very sophisticated emails and very clean, and that's very important in today's corporate environment. Service is one of the most joyful things that anybody can do. To see the results of service is life-changing. To see the impact on individuals, I cannot understate how important it is and how good it feels to really help people get to that next level. And service does so much more than just that little bit that you see. It goes deeper. It encourages people to do things. Actions, take on more actions, and it's a trickle-down effect of positive and good things. The more service that's done in Utah, just the better everything's going to be. And I think I encourage everybody to take the opportunity to give back or do service, even in the smallest ways. They don't have to devote half their life or be on 5 different nonprofit boards to make an impact on the community. It could be little amounts of service here or there, but going out of your way to give just a little bit goes a long way.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause for Jared Kwan. Okay, next up, we have a video honoring Jill Anderson with CAPSA.
I'm Jill Anderson, the CEO of CAPSA. We're a nonprofit serving and supporting individuals and families impacted by domestic violence and sexual abuse in Cache Valley and the Bear Lake area. I began as a volunteer for CAPSA in 1993. At the time, I was working in youth corrections, but I felt I wasn't really significantly influencing the lives of youth I was supporting. So I started volunteering at CAPSA, and I immediately saw the impact. I saw tangible, generational change for families escaping abuse, and we were creating safe and stable homes. And I distinctly remember one mom who, after several months of our assistance, including helping her with college enrollment, I overheard her daughter say, "Mommy, Mommy, when I go to college." And she was a first-generation college student. It was then that I realized we had forever changed the trajectory of that family. Domestic and sexual violence are far more prevalent, complex, and dangerous than many realize. And in Utah, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men will experience interpersonal violence during their lifetime. Imagine that you're living in the shadow of your abuser, constantly unsure of what will trigger them, or picture dealing with the aftermath of sexual assault, often perpetrated by someone you know, grappling with the complexity and feelings of betrayal, and now consider immense courage it takes to call CAPSA. Whispering so your tormentor doesn't overhear, or sitting in our parking lot teary and confused, but ultimately finding the strength to walk through our doors. The trust placed in us by these courageous individuals is what propels us forward to build programs that go beyond the core standards of care. We're often referred to as the North Star of services in Utah. We're striving to remove barriers that to most seem insurmountable with expansive programs that range from comprehensive shelter, transitional housing, including 2 housing neighborhoods, to clinical therapy that collaborates with casework, to community education and business training that works towards preventing abuse. We're working diligently to shine a light for survivors and serve as a model for the state on how to support them. None of this impactful work would be possible without the dedicated team at CAPSA. As CEO, I am honored to work side by side with our advocates, our caseworkers, therapists, educators, and our business team. It's together we meet survivors where they are and walk alongside them, guiding and encouraging them towards safety. This Spirit of Service Award is truly for them. They are the heartbeat of CAPSA, providing hope to survivors every day and inspiring change for individuals and families we serve.
Please give a round of applause for Jill. All right, next up we have Stephanie Benali.
My name is Stephanie Benali. I am the Native American Specialist with Utah Foster Care. I recruit, train, and support Native foster families in the state of Utah. There is a shortage in the state of Utah for foster parents, not only in the state of Utah, but in tribal communities and across the state. And so I do this work to bring awareness that there is a shortage and that there is a need for more Native foster parents in Utah. And then if people are not able to become foster parents, then there are other ways to support our kids in care. And so this work is very important to me because I believe that our kids need to stay in Native communities. They need to be in a love and safe, loving Native home. And so they are able to connect with the culture, with the language. And so it's, really important. And that's something I share too, when it's language is not, and culture is not something you can just read or take to a child to an event. It's everyday living. It's a discussion around the table. It's a discussion in the car. It's a discussion that doesn't get talked about in school, in history class. And so that's why it's important that our kids are in a home where they have access to those resources and to that connection. And so that's why, again, we share the message, Native homes for Native kids. So we are looking to increase that number of Native homes in the state of Utah. Because I know there are other issues, important, but I also want people to remember that we're talking about our kids. Our kids do better in a Native home. They do better when they're connected to their culture. There's less depression and suicide rates. So it's really important that we make sure that those numbers increase so the kids have that availability of a Native foster home. And I am aware that there are some people that may not feel like they're ready to become foster parents, or may live in a home where it might be a one-bedroom home. But there are other ways to support our kids in care. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities, and then we also have people can donate items or money, and so there's just various ways to support our kids in care. It takes a village to do this work, and I'm very thankful for our partners, the 8 tribes that we work with in the state of Utah, and then the nonprofit organizations like the Urban Indian Center. We also do a lot of work with the Utah Division of Indian Affairs, and so I'm very grateful for those partnerships because they're able to provide a space or help get the message out, and so we're able to work together towards this common goal to provide more Native foster homes for the state of Utah. And so again, the village, it's very important, and that's why I'm very thankful for the partnerships that we've developed over the years, and then for my family too, for their dedication and their understanding of the work that needs to be done and how it's important. And so very thankful for my parents, my siblings, my spouse, and my kids to be able to be a part of it too. And again, just hoping that my kids will see, that's important, that we again give back to our community, and that culture and language is important.
Stephanie Benali. Our next recipient was unable to join us today, so I'm just going to read her bio. Mary Ann Anderson has devoted herself to building the arts community in Cedar City. She has chaired the Cedar City Arts Council Mini Grant Committee for 15 years. She chairs the Literary Book Group for the CCAC and has taught piano to countless students at Southern Utah University and in the community. She serves on the Cedar City Music Arts Board and writes a weekly arts column for the Iron County Today. Her service involves countless hours and dedication to making the arts flourish in Cedar City. Please join me in giving her a round of applause. Okay, now on to honor some of our organizations. Let's begin with Switchpoint Community Resource Center.
Switchpoint began in 2014 as a nonprofit, and I had gone to the city of St. George and said, hey, I think I can fix this homeless problem in a new way. And so it was born in 2014 after I had met a homeless individual on the street and thought I could fix this if we did, all these steps in one day. So Ray was kind of my catalyst, and we call him the switch point, right? That was the switch of, if we could do this, and that's why the name is what it is on a train track, when the little mechanism changes the direction of the train, that is a switch point. And so for us, that's why we chose that name. Main goal is ending poverty. And you can do that in all kinds of ways. We're really good at identifying gaps and then figuring out a way to solve that gap. And that might be with homeless shelter, that might be with food insecurities, it might be with micro enterprises to help put people to work and create additional revenues. It might be childcare. So last year we started a 24/7 childcare center to help those families that are in poverty. And again, if we can stop poverty, or at least slow that down, we then can make a huge impact on homelessness. The strategy for us is really working alongside an individual or a family to say, we have all these resources. We can't do it for you, but we're going to do it with you. And so holding them accountable. I think one of our tags is opportunity with accountability. Because if we can't have them step in and take ownership of that, then everything you do doesn't stick, right? And so for us, that is really our I don't want to call it our secret sauce, but we really try hard to make sure that they're as engaged in the progress and the success of their plan as we are. When we first started out, we knew that this is not something that we wanted to attempt on our own as an individual agency or a nonprofit. So our very first community resource center that we opened in St. George, we had 23 collaborating agencies, if you will, come to us, and we still have that happen. So Mondays is Veterans Day, Tuesdays is Voc Rehab, Wednesdays is mental health, and so that one-stop shop, if you will, is not about Switchpoint providing all of the services, but who are our partners that can come to the table and provide those services or resources to the individuals that we're serving. So that's, for us, that was really key in saying, how do we build up these partnerships? I think the second thing that we really try hard to do is say, if there's a gap in the community and people are asking for help, I'll give an example of overflows. We never intended in the beginning to come to Salt Lake, but during COVID and during overflow, winter overflow time, it was, God, can Switchpoint come up and help us? And we will rally to the cry is, yes, of course we'll come and help. That's what we're here for, right? Is we're supposed to be a team, and I like the being on a team instead of competition. There's no reason to have competition over a homeless population or poverty. We should all be working in that same direction. A lot of people ask me why I do what I do and why I started Switchpoint. And I feel called. I'm from Oregon. I'm not from Utah. We moved here in '09. And by 2014, I really felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, was to really love on those that are the underdog. And how do we do that best? And I think that when we have a community that is as giving and really has high skill sets, Utah is shocking to me in that way, right? But we rally around. Sometimes I just think that people don't know which direction to rally, so I'll be the cheerleader, right, and say, let's go this way and get people. But I feel so strongly that we can save our seniors, and we can save those of us that are less fortunate, who thought they were going to retire on Social Security, but we just have to do a better job at building that community.
Come on up, Carol, and your team. As many of you that are here that want to come up, please. All right, next up we have Alianza Venezolana de Utah.
So back in 2018, we are from Venezuela, so different people coming together, and we saw an empty, like a gap between the authorities and our community. So that's when we created the Venezuelan Alliance of Utah, just to be, and that's our mission, to serve as a bridge between the authorities and our community so they can have a better life in Utah. As we work together with the board of directors and our team of coordinators, our goal is to be a bridge and serve all of these communities and minorities that don't have access to our authorities, and for the authorities to pass on the information that's correct, and they can have a better life in education and health and works and immigration laws and housing as well in this state. Our community need more representation, and we need like an official place they can come, and then we can help in any way possible. And that's when we all came together and say, you know what, this needs to be done. And then we also have the guidance of some of the people here in Utah, and they said this will be a great opportunity for you guys to start this, and then we did it. And since 2018 we've been helping people in the Latino community. We would like to see more programs, language access program. As of right now, we know the Salt Lake City has a program, but we would like to see that more extended to the statewide so people can have access, because one thing that we notice, people don't know the language, so it's really it comes an inconvenience for them to have access to all the resources. And also we would like to see departments, official departments, to make that information more accessible, because majority of the time one thing that we notice is people doesn't know about these services. So they're learning English and it's hard for them to know every department and every that technical language they need to use in order to be helped. So that we guidance to the right departments and they can have those answers and then move forward with their life in Utah. For example, we have families that were living in the streets, that were sleeping in the streets. They just got here. They crossed the border under the asylum, political asylum, legal immigration form. So once they get to the state, they have nowhere to go. They don't have food, they don't have clothes, they don't have a place to stay. So we have helped families that were sleeping in the streets to find a shelter, at least a short-term solution for their housing crisis. We have people that have come to us in education, for example, and they have kids that are going to school and they're already here and they graduated from college. And to see that is a really big accomplishment when they call us and say, hey, Mayra, I was able even to buy a house. I remember one time that we were doing a donation drive and I grabbed my vehicle and I went to these places where people were donating clothes and our cars were full of stuff, and I just got into the car and started crying because it was so many things, and I was really thankful for that. Venezuela have actually like a year and a half ago had a really bad situation, an emergency situation when this town mudslide come in and almost wiped it out. So we donated more than 2 tons of food. We send it. It's thanks to a partnership with other organizations. So all of that, when you see people calling you, say thank you for that, it's really emotional, it's overwhelming, and that's our job. We're really happy to help them. We're really happy to make their life better.
Come on up, friends. Felicidades. All right, next up we have our friends from Wasatch Wanderers Animal Rescue.
So we got started in September of 2021. I was passing by Weber State University. I was a brand new mom and I saw a bunch of domestic geese. People dumped pets and they didn't have any water and they were getting attacked by dogs and harassed by kids and just kind of not looking well. So I reached out to the university and a couple of rescues and they were all like not really sure what I was talking about. They didn't really know that it was a problem. They were like, oh, they'll just fly away, but domestic waterfowl can't fly. From there it was like, well, it was kind of your responsibility. And I met somebody at the rescue that I teased. I was kind of like, oh, I'd worked in rescue for many, many years and with wildlife in Arizona. And so I was just like, oh, I should start a rescue at this point. And he was like, let's do it. So I said, okay, and here we are. Our goal is to change the way that animals are treated and seen through rescue and education. Just from the September of 2021 to the February of 2022, we rescued about 500 animals. And then to date, from now, we've rescued about 900. We've had our hands full. We really focus on helping cities, businesses, universities with dumped animal abandonment problems like waterfowl in particular. Unfortunately, throughout the entire United States, we have a really large problem of people purchasing animals on a whim, especially waterfowl, and abandoning them, which is not only illegal, but it is extremely cruel, and it actually has proven to be extremely damaging to our native wildlife and our ecosystems. But we don't just focus on waterfowl, we focus on every animal from frogs to guinea pigs to rats to feral cats to ducks to pigeons. So we rescue it all except for really dogs and inside cats. I think it's something that we as humans, we don't really get to see very often. When we, I think we're good at turning our back pretty fast when people hurt us, and animals, it seems like they constantly are willing to forgive. And so I see animals a lot that you think there's no way they should be willing to show this much grace and kindness or be letting me handle them right now after what they've been through. And yet they do. I think the biggest thing I see when I see people's faces is when I'm teaching children. We go to different schools and host different booths, educational booths, and the look on the kids' faces, and sometimes their parents are there, and the look on their faces of things they never knew and how it'll probably impact them for generations to come, because they'll never be impulse buying animals amazing to see, or how they're oh, I did that, but they'll never do it again. And it's just it's a really neat thing to see them come to a realization and to that desire to want to change.
Thank you, Wasatch Wanderers. Come on up. I loved the audible gasps when you saw that 900 animals number in such a short amount of time. Thank you for educating us today. Okay, our last group, and unfortunately they were unable to join us as well, but I will read their bio. The Friends of Snow Canyon. Friends of Snow Canyon State Park is a nonprofit established in 2011 to support the mission of Snow Canyon State Park. In 2022, the Friends contributed more than 2,700 volunteer hours to park projects. Projects included public education programs, graffiti removal, control of invasive plants, restoration projects, and maintaining the park's 38-plus miles of trails. As recreation continues to blossom throughout the state, Friends of Snow Canyon recognizes the value of protecting and promoting outdoor spaces and the connection between healthy, accessible landscapes and spending time outdoors. And Snow Canyon is one of our family's favorite places to recreate. And I want to make sure they're not here. I don't think I saw them. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, we're so grateful for your service. We're thankful that you would take time out of your busy schedules to come here and let us honor you. I'd like to turn some time over to the First Lady for some final parting words, and then we'll invite, again, all of our awardees to come up for a group picture afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to get to know you and to have you share your stories with us. It's really important for us to look and see what you're doing. My Show Up initiative is really all about connecting people and doing that through service and doing that through helping the most vulnerable among us. And what I'm seeing here from your stories is you are doing just that. We have worked really hard in the areas of foster care. I was looking at Stephanie's story and just feeling a lot of love for the work that she's doing around foster care in our Native communities, and how important that is to alleviate the trauma, the extra trauma that's placed on a child when they have to be removed and then to be taken away from their language and their culture and everything that surrounds them. So thank you, Stephanie, for the work that you're doing, and we'll be in contact because we've got a lot of work to do with you. Again, we're working in the areas of helping kids with intellectual disabilities to have opportunities to have sporting opportunities through Special Olympics. We're working a lot in the area of making sure teachers have the mental health resources that they need to stay in their jobs so that they can help the children in their care. And children that they teach and educate. And the biggest thing is we're really working on, through service, our service initiative is really connecting folks like you, people that are doing the work, and the nonprofits and the people that are out there with people every day, with the families in the state that are ready to serve and ready to volunteer. And it's been really amazing. We've had a great experience with Thanksgiving Point putting together a service fair, a summer service fair, where we connect. We had this year about 50 nonprofits connected with families from all over the state and giving them opportunities to serve. I think, I assume what you see is what I'm seeing, is that sometimes we have this just amazing people that are ready to serve, and we have amazing nonprofits that are ready for that have volunteer opportunities. And there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes. And so what we're trying to do is bridge that gap, and we're here to be a partner with you, to bridge that gap with you, to make sure that we can connect people that you're ready to serve and connect people with volunteer opportunities with your organization. I just want to conclude by talking about how important it is that each of us, we talk about that one caring adult in a child's life. I think that one caring adult also is for an adult's life and an animal's life, or whatever that is. It's really important for us as humans to connect with each other, to have that heart to heart, that human to human connection, to help lift everyone in the community. It's good for us, like Spencer talked about. It's good for our mental health, but it's also really great for our communities and coming together. And one last thing is, I just want to, I can't overstate the importance of the work that we do in our individual families as well. Being there for whoever needs you in your life, especially your families. And I will just say, on this, we have a little bit of a somber day today. My husband lost his grandmother, 96, almost 97-year-old grandmother. And you don't think about it, but then all of a sudden you start thinking about the ways that this person has served in your life and made you a different person and made you who you are. And so, reach out, love those that are around you, love your families. And then again, thank you so much for reaching out to those that don't have families, that don't have people in their lives that are ready to protect them. So thank you again for all you do. You make our state what it is, and we're so proud to serve along with you. Thanks.